Welcome back to the channel. Today, we're diving into a fascinating and somewhat alarming topic, the possibility of Earth's magnetic field flipping. Let's dive in. For the last 200 years, the Earth's magnetic field has been slowly weakening, and the magnetic North Pole has been drifting from Canada towards Siberia. This shift has accelerated in recent decades. Scientists are trying to determine if this indicates an impending geomagnetic reversal, where the magnetic North and South poles switch places. The Earth's magnetic field, generated by molten iron in its core, protects us from harmful solar radiation and cosmic rays. If a flip were to occur, it wouldn't happen overnight. Or so they say.
Is that any article you ever read on this, it makes it crystal clear that this will not be apocalyptic. Maybe we'll potentially have some satellite communication issues that could affect our power grid and telecommunication systems, and that's going to be unfortunate. But don't worry, it's not a doomsday. I'm like, okay, first of all, if the grid goes down, that is doomsday. But number two, they don't know what they're talking about, because they claim that the geomagnetic pole shift is because of the interior, whether it's the iron core or whatever it is, the molten core does a shift, and because of it, that's why the compass will flip. But I'm like, if you look at the nature of earthquakes, some originate in the crust, others originate in the mantle, in the parts that aren't solid. So I'm like, if you're saying that the interior that is molten does a shift, why on earth would you suggest that it wouldn't cause earthquakes or volcanic activity on the surface? So I feel like every article I ever read on geomagnetic pole shifts, they go out of their way to say, don't worry, it's fine. And I'm like, but yet the evidence shows that it's accelerating. Back in just the 1990s, it was traveling, the North Pole was transitioning at 10 miles a year. Now it's at almost 40 miles.
During this period, the magnetic field would weaken significantly, which could affect satellite operations and navigation systems. The possible causes of these changes include complex convection currents within Earth's molten core. Additionally, some researchers suggest that large, dense rock masses deep within the Earth, possibly remnants of a celestial body that collided with Earth billions of years ago, might interfere with the flow of molten iron, contributing to these shifts.
I don't know if you know this, but our Earth has had 4 pole shifts in the past, and we're potentially going to have a 5th, okay? And a pole shift, and the reason why they did this particular thing with the pyramids is because if you look at Antarctica, and you go to Antarctica and you look at the discoveries there, they discover animals there, right? These animals are frozen in time, perfectly preserved. When they open the stomach, what do they find in the stomach? Undigested food. Why is it undigested? Flash frozen. Flash frozen. So what does that tell you? Antarctica moves into that position. So as tectonic plates bump against each other, sometimes you have a subduction plate where one plate goes under. Sometimes you have a subduction plate that goes above, and one you have one that goes under. So basically, as these plates bump into each other, and then you have a gravitational field that causes a tug on our planet, which, like our brown dwarf neighbor that we just discovered out there in our solar system, when it passes around our sun, it adds a little bit more gravitational shift to our planet, and tugs and pulls, and one plate shifts and drops. Now you have an entire continent that drops into an area that's freezing cold.
So, what would happen during a geomagnetic reversal? Scientists believe that the magnetic field would become more complex, with multiple poles emerging in unexpected places. This would likely disrupt the migratory patterns of animals that rely on the magnetic field for navigation, such as birds, whales, and turtles. Some believe it could be much worse.
They say that the last one was like 778,000 years ago, and we're like something like 200,000 years overdue. But the Adam and Eve story, the theory of that is that it happens in cycles of 6,500 years, and that it's a 90-degree flip, but 6 days later, or on the 7th day, it corrects itself.
The planet flips.
Correct. It's a planet flip 90 degree, and that because of it, the Earth essentially doesn't stand still. The sun will basically stay in the same spot, causing heating like we've never experienced, and that the wind and the waters continue with their momentum. Because essentially the wind travels at approximately 1,000 miles an hour at the equator. So the theory is that when that event happens, it's going to be cataclysmic. And here's the wild thing is that in that document, it says a continental-sized tsunami being 2 miles high. Well, I showed you the Emikusi volcano in Africa in the Sahara, which is at 11,300 feet, that has salt as well as evidence of gastropods, sea life.
That's 2 miles high.
Yes. And I'm like, it would make a lot of sense. Like if you look at the Bible and involving like Revelations and it's saying like
6 days.
6 days on the seventh day, God rested. In that document, it says 6 days, things start simmering down a bit. And by day 7, things are starting over new.
Is a flip imminent? While some scientists believe we are overdue, others think the current weakening might stabilize without a full reversal. Paleomagnetic studies show that the field is about as strong as it has been in the past 100,000 years and is twice as intense as its million-year average. While some scientists estimate the field's strength might completely decay in about 1,300 years, the current weakening could stop at any time.
We know two things right now is that the pole is moving. So it's off. I think it's off even the South Pole might be off of Antarctica at this point, like the magnetic south. And then the magnetic field consequently to this movement is weakening. So we know our magnetic field, and that's where a lot of that danger is going to come from is if the magnetic field keeps weakening. Now everything cosmically that happens is going to hit the Earth, and particularly us with our electronics, it's all going to get more easily smashed because the magnetic field is what protects us from solar flares and cosmic radiation and all this stuff. So as the field and the acceleration of that weakening of the field, is accelerating. So it's getting weaker faster.
Furthermore, our technology could be affected. Satellites, which we rely on for GPS, weather forecasting, and communication, could be more vulnerable to solar storms. The South Atlantic Anomaly, a region where the magnetic field is particularly weak, already causes issues for satellites passing through it, leading to technical malfunctions and increased radiation exposure.
So we seem to be heading towards an unknown or undetermined time where the poles may shift, like the polarity of the Earth will shift,
Recent geological studies have suggested a possible reason for this anomaly. It is widely believed that our moon was formed when Earth was struck by a planet-sized body called Theia about 4.5 billion years ago. Some scientists now think that the remains of Theia might lie deep within the Earth, interfering with the convection of molten iron and contributing to the weak magnetic field in the South Atlantic. The seriousness of a magnetic reversal will depend on how long the process takes. If it happens gradually over thousands of years, it's possible that migratory creatures and humans will be able to adapt. In the meantime, we have much to learn about what is happening deep within our planet.
Are there any estimates on when this could possibly take place?
According to every article I ever read, like, oh, don't worry, it's probably another 1,000 years. I'm like, you have no idea what you're talking about. It's accelerating. And if you look, you don't have to Google this, Jamie. I don't know there's a mountain chain in Eastern Oregon where it's the most evidence of a pole shift, that there was a volcano that was active during the shift. And if you take a compass along the volcanic rock, the compass will slowly start to change. And so wherever like pottery or volcanic rock solidifies, that wherever the North Pole is at that time, it's an imprint, and the compass will continue to show that. It's really fun. Take a compass around volcanic rock, and it'll move the compass to wherever the North Pole was then. But here's the interesting part, is that what it shows is that the pole shifts start slow, and then they accelerate to the point where the day that it happens, you could potentially see the compass slowly moving. And then when you go back to this Adam and Eve story talking about the pole shift, they say that the event happens in approximately a quarter of a day, so 6 hours.
Stay tuned for more intriguing science updates. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon to stay informed.